evening, everybody. This is Liz Cross from psychiclizcross.com. And we have with us is David Oates. And David, you started on your third trilogy, your third book in your trilogy already. I just can't believe it. I'm blown away how quickly you're going through this. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, the third book, I'm excited about the third book. Yeah, that's going to be that's because that sort of rounds off the whole thing. We go. So it's a trilogy about angels. We call them the angelians. They're like advanced space beings, and they travel the universe in their spaceships, teaching all about the civilization, about the laws of love. And so it follows these angels through, and of course there's a war in heaven with an arch villain called Cypher, who was really Lucifer. Cypher's just sort of an acronym of Lucifer, Earth gets destroyed in book one, and the Angelian terraform it and put life back on it. And in book two, the Antichrist comes, and the Angelians save the world from the Antichrist. And in book three, well, you'll have to wait and see how the book three ends.
Yeah, I can't wait. I follow you, excuse me, on Facebook. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to bring this up because I actually agree with you. And you said something on Facebook, which was, with every passing day, I realize how foolish I was to think that the United States intelligence agencies would embrace reverse speech when I lectured to them in 1991. What were you lecturing to them in 91?
Well, it was a workshop actually arranged for me in Washington, D.C. by a chap named Scott Jones, who was a naval intelligence big wig in Washington, D.C. And it was a 4-day workshop, and he set it up for members of the CIA and the FBI, Secret Service, and Naval Intelligence. A few others were there. And I just told them all about reverse speech, all my research and what I discovered, and played lots of examples. And it was it was a very, very lively workshop, and they all loved it and everything that I was presenting. And the FBI came up to me afterwards and said they wanted to bring me in on a research project that they were going to do into themselves. And of course, I never did hear from them about joining in with them on a research project. So, and that was it. And I've heard a few isolated things back since then, but other than that, I don't know what they've done with it. I know the CIA have looked into it. When my book came out in 91, they bought, I think it was 28 copies, of the book. My second book came out in 91. And you can actually see their interest in reverse speech today. Just Google CIA reverse speech, and that will take you to the page on the CIA's website that talks about reverse speech. So they're clearly interested.
Yeah. Do you think that they use reverse speech themselves today?
Well, of course, anything I say I can't verify. I strongly suspect they are. They would be crazy if they aren't. And given its potential for discovering truth as an espionage tool, it's immeasurably important. Of course, you just got to make sure you don't use it on yourself. Otherwise, you could get busted.
Have you reversed yourself?
Have I reversed myself?
Yeah.
Oh, many times. Yeah, many times.
What did you get when you reversed yourself?
Oh, it depends on what time you're talking about. Well, when I first started back in the early days, it's just casual stuff, little thoughts I was aware of having at the time of speaking. But everyone has to go through their dark night of the soul with reverse speech, and I certainly went through my dark night of the soul, and when reverse revealed some very nasty patterns I had running after a business I had in Australia collapsed, and so I had to face the dark parts of myself that I didn't really want to face. And
Mhm.
um,
When you talk about the dark parts of the soul, and that
yeah.
is exposed, with some examples, maybe not you, just maybe some examples you've come across.
Oh, well, I can talk about a client I'm just working on today, actually. And I mean, her session started off with Satan, which tells me she's got some dark parts down in her that needs to be worked on. She says, "Bring your messy hell," which means that yeah, she does have some dark parts that's got to be worked on. I'm a bigot and a blank. That's another. I mean, reverse speech can come out with parts of us that we don't want to admit to or face up to. You know, like I'm a bigot and a blank. I mean, that's not a nice thing for anyone to hear. You know.
No. So how do you then go about removing those dark energies?
Yeah. Well, I've developed a technique I call metaphor restructuring, which involves working with these issues. It's a fairly involved technique that involves a combination of recordings and what I call meta walks, which, for the want of a better word, is just simply guided visualization journeys through the unconscious. And my theory works on the basis that the unconscious thinks in metaphor or pictures. And as we change these pictures or metaphor in the journeys I give clients, and so too are we changing the unconscious. However, it's not, the unconscious isn't as easy as I first thought it was to change. When I first started doing session work, I thought I'll fix everyone up in a couple of trances or one round, you know, but it's proven to be a little bit more difficult than that, and it takes a bit of work to move the unconscious. An analogy I gave to one of my students just the other week was, it's like an ocean liner on a predetermined course and trying to steer the ocean liner. It's very difficult. You got to do it with slow, gentle force, you know. So
yeah. So how many just on average, how many of those meta walks would you have to do with a client in order for them to feel that the weight has been lifted off of them?
Well, that depends entirely on the problem, of course. It varies from person to person. My standard round of 8 sessions consists of 3 meta walks. Majority of my clients will go on to do 2 or 3 rounds. There's very few who only do 1 round. So then you're looking at, if you're looking at 2 rounds, that's a total of 12 meta walks. No, 6 meta walks. So, yeah, look, it all depends on the person. It depends on the problem. Look, I had a client come to me a few months ago, a woman who had nervous breakdown, for want of a better word. She was hearing voices and she was tormented, and it was quite a nasty situation. And we shifted her in just one round, turned her whole life around. And that was amazing. It doesn't happen like that very often, that you get it in one round, but sometimes you do. But so many people have been carrying the patterns around for decades and decades, and they're so deeply embedded into the unconscious. It takes a lot to shift it.
Can I just ask you, have you ever come across an entity attachment when you're doing a reversal and you've had to remove an entity, an attached entity? Have you ever come across that?
Yes, I have 2 or 3 times in my career, not often. I don't know whether it was real or not, or whether it was just a metaphor, but I had success. You know, my whole approach to everything is that they're all metaphors that we can change. If an entity is an entity, sure, it's in the unconscious as a metaphor, so we can change it like any other metaphor, is my approach to it. But yeah, I've dealt with it. Yeah, I've got a client I'm working with right now who believes that she has, what do they call it? A walk-in. Yeah.
And now, pardon my ignorance here. This just came through to me. Aborigines, I mean, obviously they speak English. And they have their own language. Have you ever reversed like a tribe of Aborigines and found anything
No,
interesting?
I have not, but my original research partner, Greg Aubrey, did. And he found, unfortunately, he's passed on. And what he's found is passed on with him, unfortunately. But he found that they had a lot of Eastern metaphors, which was surprising. What that means, I don't really know, but it was surprising.
Wow. Okay. I just wondered because you're out in Australia. So, I mean, obviously we have to ask about the Aborigines.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to do a project on the Aborigines myself. But, I mean, are the Aborigines sort of dying out? Is the Aboriginal culture dying out in Australia? Is it becoming, faded?
Well, that depends on who you speak to. I'm not aware that it is. Certainly, the Aboriginals, like American Indians, have been persecuted and pushed to one side. There's no doubt about that. And Australia has horrendous history of persecuting its Aboriginals. Oh, gee whiz. There's a move now to give them a voice in Parliament, which I think they're going to put it to a referendum, which is a national vote. I would certainly vote in the affirmative for that. The Aboriginal community currently does not have a voice in the Australian government. So, look, I would say that there's a lot of Aboriginal tribes that still live in the outback, practicing the old traditions. So I don't know whether it's dying out. It's probably just not as prevalent in the public eye as what it used to be.
I mean, I would love if you ever do a project on the Aboriginal. Would love to see that. I can't wait to see something like that. So that would be extremely interesting just to find out if maybe like ancestors are coming through in their, in the reverse speech, who is guiding them, where are they getting their insights, maybe some sort of clue as to their inner spirituality. I think that would be phenomenal. So, but I know you're busy, so you're incredibly busy. I don't know how you do what you do. What do you have in store for us this evening?
Well, I was going to play reversals on the raid of Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump.
Yes, please.
Yeah. It doesn't look good actually. Let's start off with Christopher Wray, head of the FBI. So here he is. Oh, hang on. Why is that like that? Hang on a sec. What's that like that? Hang on, it's taking up all my screen. Okay, here we go.
Well, as I'm sure you can appreciate, that not something that I can talk about, so I'd refer you to the department.
There he says, Trump's that issue.
Trump's that issue.
Very clear reversal. Trump's that issue. And then he says this.
In the line of duty. That's the highest number since 9/11. So the men and women of law enforcement, including the men and women of the FBI, make heroic sacrifices for everyone in this country.
He's talking about the Mar-a-Lago raid. What that's got to do with it, I don't know. But backwards he says, I pay to ruin him.
Yeah, I pay to ruin him.
I pay to ruin him. So he is out to get Trump. Trump's the issue. He's outlaid money and he's ready to totally ruin Trump. And then we have Garland, the Attorney General.
Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week.
The guy paid it.
The guy paid it.
We already know who the guy was because Christopher Wray said, I paid to ruin him. Okay. So this whole thing was set up. And then he says this.
Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans.
We give assassin.
Assassin.
In other words, they're out to destroy Trump. Okay, they want to cut him off at the knees. Okay, then they says this.
Let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked.
They'll arrive Nazi.
They'll arrive Nazi.
So he's defending the integrity of the law enforcement agencies, but he's saying backward, we're just like Nazis, you know. We just make up our own rules, throw a raid around, you know, do what we want. And then we got this last one.
Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights.
There it says, he'd face further stealth.
He'd face further stealth.
In other words, they haven't finished with Donald Trump by a long shot. They are planning a whole bunch of sneaky, devious actions against Trump to ruin him. Let me just play that two reversals on Ray again. This is talking about these are the two important ones.
Well, as I'm sure you can appreciate, that's not something that I can talk about, so I'd refer you to the department.
And Trump's that issue?
That's not the issue.
And followed by, I pay to ruin him.
In the line of duty. That's the highest number since 9/11. So the men and women of law enforcement, including the men and women of the FBI, make heroic sacrifices for everyone in this country.
And I pay to ruin him.
Yeah, I pay to ruin him.
And there you go. Nothing to do with law enforcement, nothing to do with protecting secret documents. It's all about getting Trump any way they can. Any little loophole they can find, they're going to go after him. They haven't finished with him. The fact that he uses the word stealth, that he'd face further stealth, means that they're spying on him. They're using clandestine, covert activities. So it's not good. It's not good. This is a politicization. I can't even pronounce that word. This is law enforcement.
I know what you mean.
Made into politics. They're using what should be independent government agencies. They're using them in a partisan fashion to stop Donald Trump from running for an elect president again. That's exactly what I see this as being. Now, whether you agree with Donald Trump or like him or not, I'm not here to comment on that. I am commenting on that certainly the powers that be don't like him, and they're doing everything they can to stop him from running again. And that's what this.
Sorry. I completely agree with you. I have been, probing Trump for, over 2 years before Biden took over. And I got, because there were a lot of theories out there about not going to happen. Biden's going to be overthrown by the military. Trump's going to be back in power. Biden isn't actually Biden. He's an imposter. Trump isn't actually Trump. That's somebody dressed in a Trump suit. I mean, I get all these questions, right? Yeah, but I have been, I'm sure you do as well. But I have been probing Trump for a long time. And I've made lots of future predictions, and I've always found that he will not be running again. He doesn't want to run again. He may hint at it to scare people or scare the people that don't want him to run again. But I've always got that he was never going to run again. He doesn't want to be president anymore. He realizes he has zero power. It was under attack all the time. That's what I got in that spotlight again. And so, yeah, I agree with you. When I did my probe on Mar-a-Lago, I got the same thing, that this was just in order to stop him from running again. So, yeah.
I don't know whether he's going to run or not. I haven't done any research on Donald Trump, and personally, as far as I'm concerned, the jury's out on whether he's good or bad. I don't have any opinion either way on that one.
Yeah. No, I don't either. I mean, look, you know as well as I do, whatever happens, happens. And it doesn't matter what we think or anybody else thinks, it's just going to happen, right? So I've learned that politics is just, for me, it's interesting to probe and look into, but when you take off the 3D thinking, it's actually very irrelevant to our but it is interesting to look into. That is for sure. And I wonder what will come of this, because I do believe, yes, I'm getting information. I do believe he is going to sue the government. And this is going to, I feel like that's going to take years and years and years. It's going to be a huge legal battle. And it's just going to go on and on. So did you get anything else from your reversals?
No, that's all I found. That's what I wanted to play today. I'm just looking at some of Trump's reversals this year. There's nothing here that indicates he's going to run again, but he may not have made up his mind. I don't know, like here's one. I'll just put one out at random here.
That probably gets shot out of the sky pretty quickly. And he's acting like we were terrible people if we do that.
This is from March. People break the will.
People burst their will. People burst their will. People burst their will.
Well, that's actually a very true statement. If there's enough people who fight to rise up against all of this corruption, they will break the will. But I don't think we're going to do that. Here's another one here.
Beautiful moment of silence for something that should never have even been thought about, let alone happened. Each precious
he's talking about Uvalde, the Uvalde shooting.
young soul that was taken is an incomprehensible loss.
Here it says they get secret wars.
It gets with loss. It gets with loss. It gets with loss.
In other words, what happened at Uvalde was not an isolated instance by a long shot. It was part of a larger secret plan that they're all running. Okay, so sorry?
You've come across that before in your reversals.
Yeah, I have.
And then a lot of people, I got questions through in the last couple of weeks about these new 85 or 87,000 IRS agents that are going to be armed, that they're hiring over, a multi-year period. And they, one of the speculations was, are they doing it to come grab the guns from America? And when I did the probe, I got that was a no. They're just going to start cracking down on those who evade taxes.
Yeah.
But everybody thought after the Uvalde shooting that there was going to be this massive gun grab. I just don't see that. I just don't. I think we're just going to have to go through many, many, many more shootings. And I don't even know how they would be able to change that. Have you in the reverse speech that indicates like how they would change the gun laws in America?
No, I don't think they can. I mean, I don't know whether I think gun laws are so intrinsically embedded into American society. You'd never change the gun laws, not in America. I don't know. They did in Australia. They bought off all the guns from the citizens. So that was back in the 90s.
So you're not allowed to have guns out there?
No, we are not. Nope.
Oh,
No guns. No farmers, and I mean, you can get a special license, but you got to have a valid reason, and there's all these background checks, and guns got to be locked up in a safe, and all sorts of requirements. But it's very hard to get a gun license. Very, very difficult. So Australia is essentially unarmed, except for the police and the crooks. Um,
arm your police. In the UK, they don't even arm the police. It's the crooks that have guns, and the UK police don't have any guns.
Oh, well, they're armed here in Australia.
Oh, they are. Now tell me, do you remember when they took the guns from Australia? Did the gun crime actually go down? Did you have a problem with shootings or mass shootings?
Well, that happened while I was living in America, so I'm not too sure what happened. There was a mass shooting in a tourist place called Port Arthur, which is an old convict prison on the island of Tasmania, and a gunman went crazy there, killed several dozen tourists. It was a horrible massacre, and as a result of that, the Australian government banned weapons in private citizens and brought back all the guns.
Oh, so it.
So, hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Sorry.
Yes.
So it only took one mass shooting in Australia.
Only took one mass shooting.
Yeah.
Only took one mass shooting. Yeah.
On a different note, I want to ask you this, because the anniversary of Princess Diana's death is coming up in 10 days.
Yes.
And Australia, when she was on tour in Australia, that is when the Australians embraced Princess Diana as the people's princess, and that was what elevated her status and made her become exceptionally.
That's right.
Yes, it was her visit to Australia. Now, being that we're coming up to this anniversary, have you ever done any reversals on?
No, I really haven't. I might have to look at something. The anniversary is coming up.
Yes, because I know Australia was in love, like the world was, with Princess Diana. I just thought that would be interesting. And if right before, excuse me, the car crash, you actually indicated or picked up anything about the car crash, or now there's this new documentary coming out about that night of the crash, and the fact that she had written some sort of note saying she believed her life was going to end in a car crash. And I thought, well, I wonder if you had done any reversals. They've got some of the officers that turned up on scene at the crash that are in this documentary, or if you had ever probed Princess Diana in that way.
No, I haven't, unfortunately. Sorry about that. One of the few things I haven't looked at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can forgive you, David. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you do so much for all of us, and that's another thing that I just truly love about you is the fact that you put it out there. You just don't care. You're going to put it out there. You're going to keep putting it out there, and you're trying to empower the people. And that's what I just think is so great about you. So thank you.
You're most welcome.
Anything you want to add? Do you have any other projects coming up in the next week or so?
No, not really. Just writing my final book of the trilogy. That's about it. I want to get another training class going. I'm having trouble getting students. That's always frustrating for me, getting students to learn this technology. I mean, I'm 67 in a month, and well, not that I intend to stop work, but ever. But I've got to get this technology trained. It's got to be carried on. Anyway,
well, if anybody does want to train with you, where do they go?
Go to the website, reversespeech.com, click onto the training tab up the top. They'll give you all the links and tell you all about the courses. And if you want to apply, just there's an application form there. So there you go.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your work. We really appreciate it.
No worries. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Yes, yes, please. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.